welcome Sandeep to 1 Million Minds. I'm really excited to have you, and we have a lot to cover, but I just wanted to thank you for your time uh, and wanted to give the audience a little bit of background about you and why we having this conversation. So Sandeep is his company is Marketing Strategy Labs. Does a lot of great work in lead gen, email, brand awareness, just anything to do with marketing. That Sandeep's a great person to reach out to. And a couple of things that Sandeep had on his profile is really the main reason I'm talking to him, because I have gone through the process. Anytime you start a business, one of the most important things, the lifeline of your business, is being able to generate new leads coming in the pipeline. So when we go through the process, I have done sales funnel. People told me, oh, create a sales funnel, everything's going to be golden. You're going to be rolling around in cash, right? I've tried that. Then you have to go, oh, not just sales funnels. Now you have to do frequent social media posting to make it worth it. So let's go do a post today. And then, oh, these are not working. Let's do some growth hacking. So I've tried all of them and I've had off and on success, some of them, but then I've realized at the end of the day, it's all about giving value to your potential clients, and then
Absolutely.
making them raise their hand and ask you to say, hey, what are you doing? And I want to be doing business with you. So Sandeep has an amazing process for this. So Sandeep, can you talk a little bit about your background and give us a hint about your journey that got you here?
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited to talk to you. In fact, likewise, it's a lot of fun to talk with entrepreneurs and exchange ideas and essentially partake in this process that, to be honest with you, is a complicated kind of a journey of wins and failures every day. So you go through the ebbs and flows on a daily basis, and it changes by the hour. So that kind of excitement, keeps me flowing, and that kind of excitement makes it all the more worthwhile and keeps the adrenaline pumping. So, as cliched as it might sound, but I've come from the school of hard knocks. I mean, I have probably, and last count, I was doing this in September last year, I must have started about 30 businesses in my life. I'm 47 years old. I started working when I was like 13. And since then, I must have done, a lot of things to the extent of a full-scale Japanese full-service restaurant in the middle of New Delhi. And then I was a wedding photographer for almost 2 years, and a pretty good one at that. I mean, I think I did pretty well for myself, considering I don't have a right brain. My mind works primarily on logic, even in my business. So I have colleagues, and while you mentioned brand building and everything, I frankly took almost 15 years to understand what a brand really means. And I still can't help clients with brand, but I have my colleagues, my associates. My brother helps me with, because he's a brand and PR guy for 20 years. So he helps with the branding stuff. So I'm the direct response guy. I like getting results for the client. So my specialization has been results. And as you mentioned, the funnels are not going to work for you. Social media posting is not going to work for you. So I actually did a blog post. In fact, I'll send you a link for reading as well after this call on the value exchange at every step of the way. Right from the point when you're asking them to give you their email address, you're obviously promising something in return, right? And that value exchange has to be asymmetrical, which means that when they give you something, you have to deliver something more in value in order to ask them for something even more in value next time. And that's how this exchange happens. So as long as that exchange continues to happen, you will continue to stay in business with the same client over and over again, because they will continue to get value. So that's been my mantra. That's kind of been the business that I've been in. And I'm kind of, excited that it's a never ending journey. You never really reach anywhere. When I started 20 years ago, I was talking to somebody, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling them, so I had this desktop computer with a 14-inch monitor that I used to lug around in a cycle rickshaw. You understand cycle rickshaws because you're from India. In a cycle rickshaw in the morning, because I had this desk that I was renting in a shared office facility because I wanted to call it an office. And then in the evening, I would lug it back home because I didn't have a laptop, and I didn't have a table at home. So I would sit on the floor and design websites. This was back in 1998. That's kind of how I started. And my goal was, in those days, dollar was about $40. So my goal was about $500 a month. And if you can make that kind of money, then you'd probably be extremely set for life. And that's, kind of where it started. But then when it comes and goes, you never realize what's happening. And then ultimately you realize that that goalpost is a never moving goalpost. I mean, if you stop moving it, you stop moving yourself. So that's kind of been my goal mantra. And I'm pretty, I'm not going to say I don't consider myself multi-millionaire, super successful, Lamborghini, Porsche kind of a flashing guy. So I'm down to earth to that extent. I don't have luxury perception. My luxury is being able to spend a Thursday afternoon watching a movie with my wife. If I can do that, I think that's big enough luxury. So that's kind of more important. But yes, that's kind of been my journey. I've done, as I said, many businesses, and I've obviously failed in more than I've succeeded in. But ultimately, one common thread has been my interest in marketing and sales and kind of automating the processes. So I used to work for Bank of America in India back in 94, 95. And we had this system of mail merging actual letters to potential clients in residential areas. And we would do the mail merge, use a database called FoxPro, and send out marketing letters, which has become emails now, spam emails, kind of, you may call it that. But yes, so that's been my journey from that point on. It's been a very, very interesting journey. I've had a lot of fun and I'm enjoying it. So that's kind of my hope. Now, my next goal is figure out a way to live to 150 years. And if we can, then I think it's a life, well lived.
I mean, that's amazing. So it's, I'm smiling because a lot of entrepreneurs I've talked to, right? That's we all start with, oh, let's make some serious money is where we start. But as we get older, or at least mature, I had to get older, but people are get a little bit more mature, even younger. But right now you realize, you know what? Money is not the thing that is going to give me full happiness. I have a couple of kids too. So to me, exactly what you said, that being flexible. Right now I'm home, mine are 8 and 10. And this time, like 8 years from now, I don't know if they want to spend any time with me, not even 8, few years from now. So having the flexibility to be able to spend time with them has completely changed my mind. And I think this whole work from home across the world, a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, you know what? This sucks. I had to work 12, 14 hours with somebody when I could be spending the time having the same amount of output, but being more available to my family. So I think there's going to be a huge wave of entrepreneurship or solo, at least the side hustles on the uptake, right? So what you said, some of the things is people also get really wedded to an idea and they think they don't want to share it. And I think you've talked about this in some of your conversations too, in your videos. They don't ever go to validate it and find the right custom avatar. They have an idea, they build a product, a service, and then eventually realize it's not working, and then they blame everybody else except not follow the process. So again, this is not me advising. This is me telling you these are mistakes I've made, and I want you to share some of your stories about things you've done, and if you had to redo it, how would you do differently? So you can use one of your companies, but I can tell from my personal, I've built products and services that I thought was going to be great, thinking about me, but my customer, I never thought about them and nobody paid for it. And I had to make a lot of pivots to make it work. So can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Oh, yes. In fact, I would love to. How does $500,000 in a year sound to you? That's the money we lost. And it was insane. So classical example, not learning or not taking your own advice. I mean, now I now know what's involved. And if there is a 5-letter word that I tell everyone, at least on my team, once every day, and to my clients in every weekly meeting I have with them, agile. Agile framework is the key to success. With that being said, my first venture, and this was back in 2007, the technology business was doing well. We were doing a lot of marketing. We had our own platform. Things were going very well. Okay, let's diversify. And what do we decide to diversify in? Opening a Japanese restaurant in India. Now, Japanese food by itself is an acquired taste. And if you, I mean, not if you rather, I mean, you know that how hard it is to, mend that behavior where you are able to get a mass market adoption for something like a Japanese restaurant. And we started with a plan to get a full-scale restaurant, rented some space in a mall, grand plans, no validation, no conversations with anybody, just an idea that, okay, I think it'll work, so it'll work. The stupidest thing I could have done. As luck would have it. And imagine this, chance and luck. I don't believe in luck, to be honest with you, but karma was throwing it in my face That mall took more than a year to kind of get finished. And we did not have the space. We had already hired a chef from a 5-star hotel. We paid him a 3-month advance salary to move, but we had no restaurant. What do? We said, let's start a delivery kitchen. Now imagine this. Delhi summers, and I'm going to talk from American audience perspective, we are talking 100 degrees heat. You're delivering raw fish in 100 degrees heat. So I had to literally invent a methodology, and you don't get those plastic sushi containers in India at that time. I'm talking 2007. Now, of course you do, but we had to import them from China. Now you import those containers, you import gels, the ice gel, you create thermocol boxes, you create insulated packs. Nothing of that sort was available in India. We manufactured all of that. And then now here's the problem. Sushi moves, the cars, the bikes, when they send the delivery guys, they move. So we had to kind of innovate to that bad an extent that we were able to get the sushi delivered even after 1 hour of delivery time at 2 degrees Celsius temperature, which is, I'm guessing, somewhere close to 35, 36 degrees in Fahrenheit, which is pretty good. The tuna is meant to be between 2 and 4 degrees, 6 degrees at best in terms of Celsius. The place was doing well. I'm not going to say it was making profits, but we were breaking even. We were doing okay. And then the stupidity hit us. Okay, let's get another place. We'll get a restaurant. There are a lot of people asking us for the restaurant. We opened the restaurant, and believe it or not, we lost our shirt. We lost our skin. I mean, literally from day one, we were losing to the tune of $15,000 to $20,000 every month, cash in India on the restaurant. Our rental was in the range of $10,000 a month, just the rental alone. So without speaking to customers, without validating the idea, we just jumped straight into it. The place we were in had a traffic jam for 2 hours. So there was no way in hell that there could be dinner footfall ever. We would be lucky if there were 2 or 3 people. So yeah, by the end of it, we ended up, as I said, losing almost $500,000 at the end of the year. We had spent almost $250,000 in setting the place up, importing so much of stuff from Japan, setting up inventory, cycles. So yeah, that was a lesson well learned, and taught me never to go in that direction. So very important lesson I learned from not validating your concept, not finding a product market fit before going out and creating a product and imagining everything will be fine. So that's a classical example right there.
Absolutely. I mean, again, learn from our mistakes, guys. Again, when we get as entrepreneurs, we see opportunity everywhere. That's a good and a bad thing. When we see opportunity, we have one track mind. We just go running at it and then stop to breathe like 6 months later, see what happens. So I want you all to so there's a couple of things I want to talk about. There's ideas, and then there's validation, there's team, there's execution. We can talk about all of that, but some of the things that Sandeep said is also important. There's a timing aspect of it. So we've talked about absolutely do your market validation before you do anything else. It is absolutely worth your time. Take it from me. Otherwise, you're going to learn the hard way. But even then, right, one of the toughest lessons I've learned is ideas are cheap. Again, these are things I had to go through. So I'm telling you, ideas are cheap. Execution is all about it. So then I learned, okay, execution is great too, but if you miss timing, for example, if YouTube was done 20 years ago, it would have failed. It's a great idea, right team. So I want you to talk a little bit more about, because you said some things, right? You had to kind of bring everything in. I had to go through the same process here, cryotherapy. I opened 2 cryo clinics. Do you know the way you stand in cold chambers?
Yeah, I'm trying to find one in England. I've heard lot of good things about it. I'm standing here all day. So yeah, cryotherapy would definitely help me.
It is absolutely amazing, right? So as I play soccer and I've used it and I loved it, and my business partner has chronic pain. She's used it. So between us, we're like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Let's open it. We went all in and we opened 2 locations, just like it. And then you realize 99% of people had no idea what that was. For it to get popular to adopt, and also the same way you said, right, if you had to redo it, I bought the Mercedes-Benz or the Porsche of the cryo machine when there was Hondas available, exact same value. The customer doesn't know any different. They're not going to pay me more for that when they can get $30. So there's some really underlying mistakes I made, right? But also that's just me not thinking through market validation, the cost dynamics of it, but also there's a timing aspect of it. Just because you know about it, just because your business partner knows about it, doesn't mean the market is ready for it. So right now, 2-3 years later, there's more people aware because it's just not available to LeBron James and the soccer stars. More people are talking about it, and more people right now who are becoming health conscious are aware of, okay, let's look at alternate options. We have cryo, we have infrared sauna. But all I'm saying is, if you miss the timing, if you're too early or too late, regardless of how good your idea or your team execution, you could still not have a good business. So do you have any idea, feedback on that concept of how important timing is, and idea and execution might have to take second place?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I'll give you two examples once again, and they are both from not from my core business, uh, but from a let's say the restaurant business once again. This is not to say that the Japanese restaurants are not successful in India. Today, you go there, they're probably charging 3 times the price than we were charging, and they're doing extremely well. The 2007 till 2017, the development that India has seen, the ongoing progress and the change of demographics in the major cities has opened the floodgates for these markets. And Zomato, websites like Zomato have kind of proliferated like deep down. So that kind of was an idea that was ahead of its time. Now I'll take another example, the photography business I was in. When I started, believe me, that idea was ripe at that time. Had I delayed by a year, it would have gone to the dogs. And we saw that happen. Why? Because while I was working, and again, I have extreme amount of respect for everybody that I worked with. The point was, at that point, it had come to a point where almost, and this is what I used to say, and about myself, to be honest with you, every monkey with a camera becomes a photographer. As I said, I don't have any right brain for the art. I'm a left brain logical person, but because I became a photographer, there were ways for me to get that done. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I had a team of 20 people that were willing to work for me at such a low price, because by the time I had established my business, the industry had started to become flooded with all of this stuff. So we were at the right place at the right time. And I'm glad that I exited it when I exited in a year and a half and moved back to the United States, because by then the pricing had started. I mean, we were commanding like significantly high price as compared to what you would probably be able to get today for that kind of work that we were doing. Today, you would probably be able to get, you're lucky if you would get 1/4 of that pricing. So that's kind of was an idea that we managed to capitalize on. Whereas we lost, as I said, lost our shirt on the idea that was ahead of its time. So yeah, both of those things are prime examples of why timing is important. And once again, goes back into validate your idea. That will give you whether it is the time or not.
Absolutely. And there are absolutely free tools available to do this, like Google Trends is your friend. I've Uber suggest there's by Neil Patel, there's those who want to pay, but there's lots of ways to do simple searches on Google to understand how many people are looking for this, right? You could do a simple, like what he said, Japanese restaurant Delhi, or Japanese restaurant Austin, Texas, or sushi Austin, Texas. You can see, and you can narrow it down to a particular zip code if you have to. There's so many free tools available. So we can talk more about another session, but just want to make sure you guys take advantage of that. It's free surveys. Yes, it feels like a lot of hindrance to your progress, but trust me, it's well worth it. So Sandeep, I want to talk about your business.
One quick thing I'll add to that. One of the things that I also recommend to clients, in fact, I'm just proposing this client to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The trending products on Amazon will start to also give you an idea of what's going on. So what I do is generally look at the bestsellers, amazon.com/bestsellers, and not just the products, but even the books. You will start to see what kind of books are getting popular. So you will start to get an idea of the trending things, and therefore you will see the time in the top 50 list. You will start to see what people are thinking more about. So that's just to end that conversation. Sorry, you were saying something about the business.
Absolutely. So I want to pivot to your current business and talk a little bit more about it, because I think, again, this is something that I'm passionate about. I have an engineering background, so I'm very analytical. So anytime I talk to marketers, one of the problem I have is they always talk about the top line. So what I mean by that is I've been part of the Clickfunnels community. I've been there. Everybody's like, oh, I just became a 6-figure, 7-figure funnel. I asked them, okay, that's great. You're talking about revenue. Well, how much did you make? They're like, oh, they made maybe they spent $970,000, or they drop ship something. They make $30,000 a year. But the whole, just like having a Porsche or like a Lamborghini in back that you rented, that's exactly what I'm doing. I do not like that at all. And they're like, oh, now I can sell you a course for $900, $1,000, $997, let's be clear, for how I made $1 million. But I want you guys to question every one of these, right? When you see that, ask for profit, because I can spend $1.5 million and make $1 million and tell you I have $1 million funnel. That doesn't make sense at all. So So that's my funnel journey. Learned a lot. I'm not saying it's not good. A lot of people are using it for the right way and making money. So but it doesn't not work for everybody. It's not like, oh, you're one funnel away from being a millionaire. And so just start questioning some of these numbers, right? So I've done the funnels, but it's helpful for me as a lead generation aspect. But a business cannot just settle on just one. You have to go through a lot of ways, and you have to do that and hustle to be successful. So funnels are a great way. Social media posting to develop your brand is another thing. But the quality, like the first thing you realize when you do all this is, are you attracting the right quality of clients, right? When I got 100 clients, I did Facebook ads for clients for cryo. I got 100 clients. Maybe 4 people came in because it was all, if you come in, you get it for $25, whatever it was. They had no skin in the game, or they were not really well educated. They were in the middle of night scrolling Facebook. So the quality of client, once you go through the lead generation, you understand not all leads are equal. The quality is the best, most important part. And you can spend a lot of cycles dealing with people who are not potential clients. So I'll pause there. So you've gone through this process, Sandeep. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you pick newsletters and what should people know about it? So talk to me about your latest business.
Sure. And look, so I'm going to kind of break this answer into a couple of different parts, a few different parts. So first of all, I don't want to say anything against these entrepreneurs that kind of are the Clickfunnels ecosystem. Quite frankly, they're doing that's common human perception or your human system of doing things. So it will happen. My saying something about it or not saying would not change it. I don't subscribe to that ecosystem. I'm a part of it because I have to do my research and I have to kind of be in the know of what's going on. So I have done the one funnel away challenge. I've studied that in detail. And to be honest with you, frankly, I think it's a load of bullshit. I don't think anyone has ever been able to, but that's an opinion. That's not a fact. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. You cannot build a business in 30 days. Let's be honest. You cannot. Nobody can. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to build a business that is successful, and especially a $1 million business. Now, with that being said, one of the things that I've always liked about this ecosystem is that they are at least able to motivate entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
If they do that significantly well, and look, Russell Brunson is a great entrepreneur. I respect him for a lot of his knowledge and wisdom, and he's made a pretty big business out of what he's done, and that's extremely smart. So, so not just him. You look at any reality TV like Kim Kardashian. People might have their opinion about Kim Kardashian, but one thing I love about that family is they're a $1 billion family. Come on. Let's look at the business angle of the things. Let's look at the marketing, image building. Let's the angle. They found a market to capitalize on. I'm not going to say they're feeding on people that have low self-esteem. No, I'm not going to say that. That's a lot of bullshit. There's a marketer that has found a desire and he's willing to fulfill that desire. That's the basic tenet of capitalism. But with that being said, my business, the reason I chose email newsletters was majority of people that I see, and this is the biggest mistake I see people making. And I'll give you an example from a client that we kind of, did this like literally last month. So they came on board. We launched their newsletter on 27th of May. Now they've had these emails, about I think 8,000 emails in their database. They've been doing emails back and forth. Again, like they see online, send out a marketing email. You've got these sequences being developed from people in, you talk to any marketer that they have a program, okay, take our swipe file and write these emails. Frankly, all of that is BS. None of that will work. You can't even get somebody to write an email sequence for you unless they have the audience persona. And when I say audience persona, I don't mean age, gender, income. I mean the actual problems, the pain statement, that they understand what you're servicing. Where does their pain relate to your product and services? So email is not just about marketing. That's like you will keep constantly turning the wheel. And look, believe me, I've done that. My database exists at about 100 million emails at this point in time across the United States. I've been acquiring emails since 99. There was a platform called List Manager. Microsoft later acquired that, but that's what I've been using since then, and I've been building email lists. I currently send out over 150 million emails a year. Still, we send 10 to 12 million emails every month at this point. And we do a lot of text messaging and everything. The point being, most of them are newsletters now. Why? Because we've seen that if you keep sending marketing emails without any relationship, because newsletters, and I will kind of send you this screen after this conversation where we just now presented, like literally before this conversation, 20 minutes before this conversation, where we showed them why newsletters help you build a relationship and sell at the same time. So this client that we launched, those 8,000 customers, 8,000 list members, no one ever bought, ever. They've had this list for like years. And we launched the newsletter. They've had 5 sales, 5 orders, and their business cycle is 6 to 9 months. They've had 5 orders from clients within the last 1 month, or not even a month, 2 weeks. So that's why newsletters work. If you come to think of it, majority of businesses in the world, if you look at the digital marketing businesses, especially, originally 20 years ago started as newsletters. Think about Agora Financial. I don't know if you've heard of that company, but what do you think their primary product is? It's a newsletter. That's all they sell. There is nothing else that Agora sells except for newsletters. Motley Fool, what do they sell? You can call it stock marketing advice, but it is all delivered over email. And therefore, while they're paid newsletters, I'm saying the reason newsletters are popular is they contain timely, relevant, useful, relationship building information. So even if you sell to these people once or twice, selling them on your product or service, you're still maintaining that relationship with them. And therefore, they will continue to read your emails, and selling will be a natural progression of your business. You acquire an email list and you have a succession of emails selling them. Okay, pitch them this, show them scarcity. I mean, come on digital product. I mean, there is no scarcity. We are past those days. Even in physical products, there's no scarcity. I mean, Tesla does not have scarcity, to be honest. I mean, I booked a Tesla for my daughter when it was launched, and they did not have scarcity besides a few factors. The stock is trading at $1,000 today. It was $300 like 6 months ago. I made like 3 times the money in 3 months. But with that being said, those are false tactics. Those are not what I propose. I do recommend engaging in sales emails, but a newsletter is your ongoing relationship. And here is a classical example. One of the clients we acquired a month ago, 2 months ago, is a technology services company. They do about $15 million in revenue. That's a forte niche, by the way, helping technology companies acquire business. So they came to me, their sole way of doing business, and most technology companies do this, have somebody in Philippines or India or Nigeria where they would every day look at LinkedIn or procure some data, go to Weiler Norbert, pick out emails, send out cold emails, and figure out some way of getting a call back or set up an appointment in Calendly, do a call. Over a period of a week or 2 weeks, they will probably end up having one client. The moment COVID happened, they lost their shirt. Nobody was willing to take calls with them. And they called me, Sandeep, we've been having this conversation for a while now. Sandeep, we need help because they have no email list. They have no social media. They believe just in the power of selling. And nothing else works except for emails or a newsletter. Why? Because if you keep selling to your list, you will burn out your list. You will constantly have to acquire the list. But if you have a newsletter, you have an ongoing relationship that you will maintain. People may or may not like what you're selling, but they will not opt out of your newsletter if you spend time and energy in creating a value newsletter. So that's what our specialization is. We've done so many newsletters. We currently do about 300 newsletters in total for different clients and different verticals. So we know what resonates with the audience at what level of business or life that they are in. And based on your business, based on your pain points that you're solving, we make recommendations that, okay, this is what will resonate with your audience in your newsletter. So keep sending this content, which will be valuable. They will never want to opt out of your newsletters. Our newsletters get more than 50% open rates and more than 10 to 12% CTRs. So that's why I recommend newsletters to anyone and everyone that comes to the door. So your email list will remain your own. You will not have to pay a social media company if COVID happens again to reach out your own followers and fans. Organic reach is zero in everything except for your own email list. Even search ranking will go down. If Google decides to change the algorithm and you're penalized, you will see 60-70% drop in traffic on day one. You can't rely on that. Your email list will remain with you for life. I mean, I go to the extent of telling people like Kim Kardashian, good to have Instagram followers, good to have YouTube followers. I mean, I'm going extreme. All influencers, I'm saying, even if you have 20,000 people on YouTube, every single video should have, guys, sign up for my email list here. Why? Because YouTube may change its algorithm tomorrow and you keep asking, okay, click on submit button, click on subscribe button. It's annoying as shit. I'm sorry for the language. I don't know, you can beep that out. But I don't subscribe and press bell every time I like a video. But at the same time, if you have the email list from these people, my newsletter will automate that. It will pull the content you posted on YouTube, send it automatically with a transcript or a screen GIF to the audience. They will come back and watch it. Imagine how much more viewership you can get if you keep asking people to subscribe. That's why I recommend newsletters to everybody. If there is one tactic that will be 90% and as compared to 10% of the rest, 80 to 90 10 principle applied Pareto's, then newsletter should be 90% of your effort in everything you do.
Agree. That's a great explanation. I think you covered a lot of good points there, and I agree with all of them because even I mean, I love Russell Brunson. I actually did the 30-day challenge, and I went to Clickfunnels Live. It was an amazing experience. Just the energy, being in the room with 4,000 entrepreneurs who are just excited was amazing, right? It was just a great networking opportunity. But even Russell says the same thing. He said, "Hey, email is the only thing," because he's had issues where his businesses went away when things got shut down, but his email list is what kept him going, right? So I completely agree with you. And I'm also working, I'm doing quiz funnels and all that, but everybody just at the end of the day gets into email. So I have a couple of questions on it. I know your email is, your newsletters on the digital format. I want you to talk to me a little bit about, have you done any direct mail, or like, since you're a direct response marketer, any direct mail newsletters? And have you helped anybody do like a paid versus a free newsletter? Because I've started subscribing newsletters, especially now since I talked about trends, the hustle and trends. I just subscribed to that newsletter. It's a great information, and I used to get, so I know there's two questions. One is, have you done any direct mail, actually printing and mailing it, versus paid versus free newsletters?
So I do, I mean, so not on a regular basis. No, we don't do that. The reason is, I personally think that there are two reasons for that. One, of course, it's wastage of paper and you don't need the physical newsletter. But at the same time, we only recommend printed newsletters as something what Russell Brunson's ecosystem calls a self-liquidating offer. So I definitely recommend a paid version if, for example, you want them to buy something. So for example, in my business, if I was to use a paid premium, and I'm actually, to be honest, working on a premium newsletter where we will charge money for it, but it will be a 10-page, extremely detailed analysis. So I've kind of finished my first part, which is called a content marketing 101. And we have created an extremely complicated 3 to 5 hour kind of a session. It will end up being on starting from scratch to kind of creating $1 million brand using content marketing, and everything you can think of in content will be included in that. Something like that makes sense when you charge $7 for it on a monthly basis. But with that being said, the self-liquidating offer, where you say, okay, you want to qualify the users. Your product is at about, so my service, for example, let's say if I'm selling a $25,000 course and I need to pre-qualify the audience, I can use a premium newsletter to do a pre-qualification that, yes, these are the people who will be willing to spend money to get a newsletter. So they are interested in this material, even if they have to pay to get it. So that's the only place where I recommend printed newsletters. Otherwise, I don't recommend printed newsletters at all. Do a PDF. That's more than enough. I don't recommend printed newsletters.
Perfect. Yes. So I want to be cognizant of your time too. So as we wrap up, this is great information, and I really want folks to follow you, or viewers to follow you, and just to learn more about your journey and your business, and how you're progressing, even with the new things you're doing. So what is the best place for anybody to follow you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Sandeep Bansal, and Marketing Strategy Labs. If you search on LinkedIn, you will find our group. Join the group on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Our website is marketingstrategylabs.com. To be honest, I don't do a lot of Twitter. I know it's useful, but personally, I have never, I think that's where my age factor comes in. I know that a lot of people older than me are making a good sense of Twitter, but I've never been able to. And as a marketer, I hate to admit, but it's true. It's on my bucket list for this year. I will get on Twitter usefully, but right now my focus has been predominantly LinkedIn. So search for Marketing Strategy Labs on LinkedIn, and you can find our group. Send me a message on LinkedIn. I've got a team actually that works with me in my Mexico. I've got somebody who helps me with LinkedIn, and she's an extremely responsive and smart person who manages my LinkedIn for me. And yeah, you'll get a response back in less than 24 hours. Anything I can help with, doesn't have to be money, a commercial transaction. I love helping. I love producing content. I love talking. I love writing, doing videos. So yeah, anything that I can help with, I'm happy to answer questions and help.
Amazing. All right, Sandeep, I'll have all of your contact information in the video below, so people can get a hold of you and follow you. You are very, I really appreciate how open you are about sharing information, and I think that's a key success factor for successful entrepreneurs to be able to give back to the community. Right? So I'm really glad we got to connect, and thank you for your time. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. And I definitely look forward to, chatting up another time also without having a conversation or an idea, but in general, exchanging notes, what's going on. And yeah, maybe think about writing a piece for our newsletter. I will publish it on my newsletter and get some traffic over to you guys.
Perfect. Okay.